Erin Dean is suing her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, for an unpaid car loan and negligence.
Case 3122, Dean versus Dean.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Dean, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for a car that was stolen as a result of his negligence.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's start with, you and Mr. Dean were married for the first time in what month and year?
July of 2013.
You and Mr. Dean were then divorced.
That is correct, Your Honor.
In what year?
December 12th, 2019.
You and Mr. Dean were remarried.
This is correct.
What month and year?
October 1st, 2022.
And you separated again, and that marriage was annulled in what year?
August in 2023.
Now, you purchased a car.
Correct.
In what month and year?
October of 2019.
While you were married.
We were separated at the time. We were not living together.
But you were married.
Correct.
So this automobile was purchased during the course of your first marriage.
That is correct.
Do you have a copy of your divorce decree?
Yes, I do.
And does that divorce decree award you the automobile?
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
I'd like to take a look at it. So you were awarded in the divorce the Jeep Cherokee.
Correct, that is correct.
And then you remarried October of 2022.
That's correct, Your Honor.
The Jeep Cherokee, which is the subject of this case, was stolen on what date?
From what Dennis told me, he realized the car was stolen on December 19th, 2022.
While you were still married.
Correct.
Now, you were remarried in October of 2022.
Yes.
And where did you live?
In Pasadena.
What address?
780.
And you both lived there together?
Yes.
Had you lived there before, during your first marriage?
No.
Had you lived there while you were separated?
Yes.
When you remarried and you were living at 780, was the plaintiff living with you?
Yes.
So she moved into your residence?
Yes.
So far, is that correct, Ms. Dean?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you had no other residence?
No.
So you moved into 780?
That's correct.
Mr. Dean, until what date did Miss Dean live at 780, month and year?
January of 2023.
That is false, Your Honor.
Just,
Okay.
I'm not asking you anything.
Okay.
January of 2023. What happened in January of 2023, sir?
She moved back east.
East to where?
North Carolina, while we were still married.
Okay. The car was stolen in December.
Yes, December 14th.
December 14th, so several weeks before she left.
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding the car being stolen. First, she was going back east.
Yes.
And she asked you to take her to the airport?
Yes.
Just a second. Did you drive her to the airport?
Yes, I did.
On what date?
It was a week prior to the car being stolen, which was December 7th, 6th or 7th. She asked me to take her to the airport.
Mr. Dean, when you took her to the airport, what car did you take her with?
In the Jeep Cherokee.
Did you have another car?
Yes, I did.
Why did you take the Cherokee?
Because it was big enough to put all her luggage in.
So she asked you to...
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you left for the airport, where had Mrs. Dean spent the night before?
At our residence.
At your residence,
Yes.
together?
Yes.
And what was the reason that she was going back east?
To visit her friend in Houston.
Before she went to visit her friend, and you were living together as a married couple.
Yes.
Had she given you, or did you have any indication that she was leaving you?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We had prior disagreements as far as where we wanted to live. She wanted me to move back east. She wanted to have another child, which I didn't feel comfortable with.
Did you have a child together?
No.
Who has children?
We both do.
From prior relationships?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you had been arguing?
Yes, it was.
Just-
Oh, okay.
You had been arguing. The night before she left, you were still sharing the same residence.
Yes.
So you took her to the airport in her Jeep.
Yes.
At her request, because it fit all the luggage. And then after you took her to the airport, what did you do with the Jeep?
I parked the Jeep in a gated parking in my residence.
How long was she away?
About a week.
When she was coming home, who picked her up at the airport?
I was supposed to.
And did you pick her up at the airport?
No, I did not, because she says that she wasn't coming back because I had told her about her car being stolen. And then I told her that once I found out that it was stolen, I got a police report done.
So while she was away for that 1 week,
Yes.
her car was stolen.
Yes.
And it was stolen from where?
Under the gated parking of my residence.
It was in the gated parking?
Yes.
Okay, do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Here it is. Police report.
Okay, so the car was stolen.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now I got the dates and I got everything. And the car was stolen and?
Car was stolen due to his negligence.
No, you say negligence. The car was stolen out of a gated area. First of all, even if it was stolen as a result of his negligence, you don't get your money.
When he moved my vehicle.
Claims her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, is responsible for car payments after the vehicle was stolen due to his negligence.
Let me ask you this question. I'm going to maybe phrase it differently. My husband is trying to be helpful, and there's a leak in the faucet in our kitchen that has just been redone. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I have to call somebody to fix this little leak. It's dripping, and I don't want it to get any worse. And my husband said, you don't have to call anybody. I have my toolkit right here. I'm going to fix it. He's a lawyer. He doesn't know about plumbing. But he goes under the sink and he jiggles and jaggles and turns things, and there's a flood. And it not only floods out the kitchen, but it floods the apartment below. And I say, get out. I don't want to know you anymore. You're always doing things like this. You think my husband's responsible if the house is in my name? Get out of here.
Can I explain my situation or what happened, Your Honor, please?
You can. So now you have about 2 minutes to tell me your theory of the case.
When he did take me to the place, I did tell
Not
him,
the place, to the airport.
to the airport. I did tell him not to move my vehicle, not to drive my vehicle. He moved my vehicle because he has an unregistered vehicle that is in the previous divorce decree. And he uses that vehicle, he switches out his infinity plates to drive that vehicle to and from work. I told him not to move my vehicle because I know he likes to move that car, so he told the police officers who rides back and forth the street doesn't see it.
True.
And when he moved my vehicle, he left the keys inside my car. My car cannot start without a push start. So he took out the garage opener, and the reason why is because they were doing maintenance work at his apartment complex at the time where the gate was left open overnight. That's how my car got stolen, because the lady who did take my car, she had access to easily get inside of it, and the keys were inside my vehicle to where she was able to steal it.
Think about my husband, who I'm fighting with all the time, fixing the sink and causing a flood in an apartment or a house that is mine. I can't sue him. But it sounds to me, from what you tell me, that you knew he had been playing around with license plates while you were still together. That's what you just told me. That's what he does.
No, that's not true.
Listen to me, sir. It may not be true, but that's what you just told me.
It's in text messages, so it's true.
That's what you just told me.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. You have no case against him. It's unfortunate that your car was stolen and it was found, I understand.
Yes,
but it was
was
found
totaled.
Total, yeah.
Well, that's not his fault. Case is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I told him not to drive it, not to move my car, because I know that's what he did. He did it anyways. My car got stolen.
I didn't leave the key in the car. Actually, I had put it in my bag and took it upstairs, but she just went with that because that's all she had on.
I just hope that I never have to see him again.
I just want peace and just to be left alone and get back to my regular life.
Can you imagine how the courts would be flooded with lawsuits if married people could sue each other for negligence?
Be more backed up than it is right now.
Oh, it would put a complete stop to the justice system.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't even think that in this case he was negligent. I mean, there was debate as to whether or not he left the keys in the car. That can be viewed as a little bit negligent.
But they were a married couple who cohabited together until a couple of days before the car was stolen. And the place where he lived, evidently, which was under construction, somebody left the gate open. Well, that's the person who she ought to sue for leaving the gate open, which allowed her car to be stolen.
Sure.
Not her husband.
Agreed.
Ridiculous.
Case 3115, Brockett versus Carrillo. All parties, please come forward.
Caregiver Cyan Brockett is suing her former client, Catherine Carrillo, for unpaid wages, verbal assaults, and lying to her employer.
Ms. Brockett, it's your claim that the defendant owes you money because she refuses to sign a time card for you. And your vocation is you are a home health aide paid by the state. How long have you had a home health aide?
Since 2018.
I believe that you indicated in your answer that you have MS.
Yes, I do.
How long have you had MS?
Since I was 42, I was diagnosed with it.
How old are you now?
65. A while.
Long time.
I walk to try to keep my strength and muscles going in my legs.
Good for you.
Yeah.
How long have you had the home health aide?
The service was provided to me by disability through Social Security, and that was since 2018.
And when did the plaintiff take you on as a client?
From February 23rd to March 24th, when I terminated her.
And which time cards of hers, because you have to sign a time card, correct?
I get an email that says a time sheet has been submitted by Cyan Brockett. So the first 2 weeks I approved, which I even did with hesitation because she wasn't doing the work that she was hired to do.
But you signed it.
It's electronic signature.
Okay. But you didn't fire her after 2 weeks.
Because she kept promising that she would make up the hours to me.
How many hours a day was she supposed to
spend with you? It was 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. And she would come and sit down on my sofa and she would start texting and receiving phone calls and talking. And then one time she said, "Oh, Access didn't pick up my mom. I got to go. I'll make this up to you later." And she got up and left.
Okay, so that was, don't speak. So that was one time.
That was one time.
Okay.
And another time she was texting a lot. I go, "There's work that needs to be done that you agreed to do, and we need to get it done." And she goes, "Oh, I'm having a birthday party for my niece." And she showed me a picture on her phone of a cake with the Chanel, the 2 C's on it. And she goes, "I'm paying for this for my niece. I got a lot of planning to do for her party. So I have to go." And I said, "But what about the work that needs to be done?" She goes, "Well, I could always come on the weekend and do it." So she never did do the hours.
Okay, so that's 2 times
Yes.
out of 2 weeks, and that's Monday through Friday.
Yes.
Well, that's the first 2 weeks. What happened in the second 2 weeks?
Well, I had to go to the pharmacy and I said I needed to pick up my medication. And then I went in the pharmacy to get my medication. She stayed in the car and I went and got back in the car and she came and dropped me off. She said she had to go to her next client. And I said, "It hasn't even been 45 minutes. And she said, "Yeah, well, I'll be back tomorrow." And then she didn't come back the next day, and I was calling her, and she didn't even answer her phone.
Okay.
Caregiver Cyan Brockett claims her former client, Catherine Carrillo, owes for unpaid wages.
Now, what time is she due at your house?
She was supposed to be there at 9, from 9 to 2.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are you telling me that you always got there at 9?
Yes, I am.
Every day that you were there?
Every day. Until March 24th, when she asked me to come at 9:30, which was a Friday.
Why did she say to come at 9:30?
Because her and her friends were going to walk at Apollo Park, and that she wanted to exercise and be with her friends. So instead of coming at 9, could I come at 9:30?
Do you remember that?
I remember that conversation and that particular instance, but I did not ask her to come at 9:30 because my friend would leave to go for her walk at Apollo Park with some other friends at 6 in the morning. So I was going to be back at 9. And I even told her I would be back at 9. And I was back before 9, and she never came at 9.
What time did she come?
At 9:30, I was still waiting for her, and then I got a call from her. I guess it was about 9:45, and she said that she came and she had been there and she waited over a half hour for me, and then she left. And I asked her, why did you leave when you're supposed to be with me 5 hours a day anyways? And I told her I was back, and she told me that I wasn't back, and I was.
Does she have access to your apartment?
No, she was waiting outside in her car, according to her.
Okay.
And I have text messages to prove it was not 9 o'clock, it was 9:30. And she didn't get back until 10.
Okay. If she got back at 10, how far do you live from her house?
I wasn't even at her house. I was at another client's house in the same senior living. And she knew that. So all she had to do was call me, and I would have been at her house.
On March 24th, you say, Catherine texted me, your first name is Catherine,
Yes.
and said she was now at home. I told her it was not my job to wait around for her.
Right.
Well, it is your job if you want to get paid for that day.
I'm not asking to
Just
get
a
paid
second. So
Yeah,
you're not
right.
asking to get paid for that day.
No, I'm asking to get paid for the other days that I worked up until that day.
Okay. Well, the 24th, but you left on the 24th.
Yes.
So what days are you asking to get paid for?
March 16th to March 23rd.
Would you show me a calendar? How many days was that during the week?
The 16th of 2023 would have been a Thursday.
Thursday. So
the
16,
16th and
17.
17th. So that's 2 days. The 20th would have been Monday, the 21st, Tuesday, 22nd, Wednesday, 23rd, Thursday, 6 days.
You were asking to get paid for 6 days,
Yes.
which you were actually present.
I was actually present and working.
Now, the first 2 weeks you've described to me 2 events that happened within the first 2 weeks. In the second 2 weeks that she worked for you, and we're really talking about 6 days only in the next 2 weeks, because that's all the days that she actually worked. Do you have specific days that she wasn't there?
She's saying she was there and she never did any of the work that she was hired to do.
Well, that's a different story. Then you should have
Okay.
fired her. But if she was there, she was there.
When she was there, she was talking on the phone and texting.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was at your house talking on the phone.
Yes.
Okay. Now, show me how much you were paid per hour.
At that time, we were paid $17.25 per hour. As of January 1st, we got a raise to
Well-
$18 an hour.
$17.25 is what you were earning at the time you worked for her.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Sarah Rose, you have your computer out?
Yeah.
We're going to do 1725 times 5. How much?
86.25. 86.25.
Times 6.
517.5.
517.50. Okay. Now, punitive damage for malicious lies to employers.
Yes. She called IHSS, the company that pays us, and said that the reason why she refused to sign my timesheet was because I left the country.
Okay. I'd like to see proof of that.
I don't have that proof.
Well, then you don't get paid for that.
She also verbally attacked me on May 19th.
Okay, so I'd like you to tell me what happened on May 19th.
On May 19th, she caught me outside in Gardens 2, which is in the back and not part of her section. And up until this time, I had never seen her back there. So she was stalking me and found me, and she called me a liar, a thief, and a fraud, and a bitch.
Okay.
And I could not do anything about it. And I was embarrassed because she did it in front of my employer.
Your Honor, that's a complete lie. I walk my dog, and I have a map here of the complex, and I was walking, I do the big circle
Just
first.
tell me what you said to her.
I didn't say nothing to her. She came out and she told me, I want my money. And I turned around and I said, get away from me. She goes, you're going to pay me. You're going to be sorry. I'm going to sue you. You're going to pay court costs. I'm going to make you pay for my attorney. I said, don't talk to me and get away from me. And I kept walking. I never stopped. I never stalked her.
Okay.
I also reported the incident to the office where she lives, and she has more than one incident.
I don't know that either.
That's not true.
Shh. I know that she has to give you $517.50 because whether you were useless working for her or not, your body was there. And if your body was there for 6 days, 5 hours a day, you're entitled to be paid $517.50, judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Because I didn't kiss her butt.
That seems completely crazy considering she never did anything, you know.
I didn't do what she wanted. I didn't jump. I didn't wait outside my car in the freezing cold, risking my health.
And the demands of the job of an in-home support worker is to help with tasks around the house. And she never did any of them. So I don't know what was crazy about that.
Never work for her again.
I think that the defendant was really miraculous. She's had MS for 42, 52, 60, almost 25 years. Yeah. She walks her dog, she walks around the big circle, little circle, and she really...
Just needs a few extra help with a few tasks
probably
around
a little
the house.
extra help with moving things, cleaning things around the house. That's it. Lucky that she lives in a country that has a good government.
Yeah.
Kaylee Kovleski is suing her aunt, Brenda LaFountain, for personal belongings after moving out of Brenda's house.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3024, Lukoski versus Fountain.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You were in the military?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you get out of the military?
December 14th, ma'am.
December 14th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
At that time, you had no job, you had no place to live, and the defendant is your aunt.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume you called her and asked her if you could live with her?
No, ma'am. My mom refused to pick me up from the Appleton airport.
And?
My aunt, Brenda, was the only option at the time.
Just a second. My question to you is, she would have to know that you needed a place to live. The question is designed to elicit an answer. Did you call her or did she call you?
I called my mom and my mother called my Aunt Kelly, which is Brenda's sister, and worked it out with Brenda that I would stay with her.
I didn't ask you about staying with. When did you first have a conversation with your aunt?
The day she picked me up from the airport.
What date?
December 15th.
She picked you up from the airport. Had you had any conversation with her prior to her getting to the airport? How you would be arriving, what time, where to pick you up, where you would meet? Did you have any conversation either by text or on the phone?
No, ma'am, I did not have a cell phone.
So you had no conversation with her?
No, ma'am.
Okay. December 15th, she picked you up, got into the car, and?
We went back to her house with my Aunt Kelly and Brenda, and I moved there.
Well, tell me how that happened. You're a big girl. Tell me how that happened.
Yes, ma'am. I got back from the airport. They picked me up. We went back to her house. We figured everything out.
Not figured everything out. You said to her, she said to you, somebody said, you don't have a place to live. Could I live with you? I want to hear that.
Yes, ma'am. They said I could stay rent-free.
Not they.
Brenda said I could stay rent-free.
Well, how did she know you didn't have a place to live? Did you tell her you had no money and no place to live?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, that's what I want to know.
Yes, ma'am.
When did that conversation take place?
The night after picking me up at the airport on December 15th.
So where did you sleep that night?
At Brenda's house.
Okay. And had you ever lived with your aunt before?
No, ma'am.
So you moved in with your aunt and uncle, and they agreed that you could stay there until you got on your feet?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, there's nothing wrong with you, right?
No, ma'am.
What city and state do you live in?
I live in New Holstein, Wisconsin.
Okay. And so you moved in December. Lots of temporary jobs around Christmas. Did you get a job?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing?
I was putting together molds for bird seed.
How much were you paid?
I was paid around $17 an hour.
How long did that job last?
2 months, ma'am.
From January to February?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay any expenses to your aunt and uncle while you were working in January and February?
No, ma'am.
What date did you move out?
March 20th, ma'am.
Where were you working in March?
I was a guest service member. I would tend to customers as in like a cashier and
how much were you making there?
$16.50, ma'am.
How much money did you put away during this period of time, January, February, and March, where you were working and not paying any rent?
I had about $500 in my bank. I did get in a really bad car accident, and in that time period, so...
Which time period?
I got into a car accident in late February.
Whose car?
My car.
When did you buy a car?
This was before boot camp, ma'am.
So you had a car. You had to get the car from someplace. Where did you leave the car when you went into the armed services?
Stevens Point, Wisconsin, where I was born.
At whose house?
My friend that I was staying with before boot camp.
So you were in a car accident sometime in February.
Yes, ma'am.
And so no payments to your aunt in January, February, or March. And tell me about when they asked you to leave.
It was an argument. I calmly sat down and I was told that I was quote unquote a burden and using them. And it was a very heated argument on that I do nothing around the house while, I was living there. And I refused to put up with that because I did do a fair share amount while they were using my information to get heat assistance and food stamps. And so it's not like I didn't provide them any help. They had help through the state.
Well, that's not you helping them.
No, ma'am.
Right. That has nothing to do with you. So you left.
Yes.
And it was a heated argument. And that argument took place on what date?
That argument took place, if I remember correctly, on March 18th.
And you left March 20th.
Yes, ma'am.
So on March 20th, you decided to leave.
Yes.
Great. And you packed all your stuff.
No, ma'am.
Well, you should have, because that's what this case is about. You should have. If you decided to leave on March 18th after living with your aunt and uncle on their dime for 3 months, and you decided to leave after a heated argument, according to you, on March 18th, you should have packed all your underwear and left, not leave a few things with tags on it.
Yes, ma'am.
You should say to your aunt and your uncle, thank you very much for taking care of me for 3 months, not sue them.
I never got to really know my aunt that much, so I wanted to have space after the argument to try to decompress because I don't do well with
What do you mean? Just a second. What do you mean you don't know your aunt too well?
I lost my dad, so I never really got to have a connection with them. I lived in Stevens Point with my mom, and so this was an opportunity to really live with my aunt and be a part of their life.
Okay, I'm not going to get into your history because I see that you're getting too emotional. That's not going to happen. What I'm suggesting to you is, especially if it's someone that you don't have a connection with, who did you a kindness and it unfortunately didn't work out. Your response to that is not suing them for some alleged underwear that you left behind when you had time to pack all your stuff. Did you still have a car or was it totaled in the February accident?
I did not have a car anymore.
Okay, so who picked you up from your aunt and uncle's house?
My best friend Emily did.
Okay.
It was March 18th. I slept over for 2 days and made the final decision to move out on the 20th. I have the text messages here.
So you slept at your friend's house March 18th and March 19th.
Yes, ma'am.
And you brought clothes with you.
Yes, ma'am, a week's worth.
And March 20th, you decided to move out completely.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And you went back to the house?
Yes, and all the doors were locked.
That is not true.
Shh. Did you ultimately go into the house?
No, ma'am.
You never went back into the house after March 18th?
No, ma'am.
Well, then what did you go there for on March 20th?
I had to contact the police to get my things, which they packed up. They refused to let me in the house. And then I went back into the house March 20th to pick up my belongings that were set outside.
Okay, well, that's fine. You took the important stuff with you because you were going for a week, so anything valuable you took with you. Okay, let's get to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is you claim that your niece damaged the house while she was living there.
Yes, Your Honor.
Show me. Show me.
I have many pictures and an estimate for the damages of the...
You sure about this? You sure about you want me to see this?
Yes, please.
Okay, good.
Kaylee Kovleski claims her aunt, Brenda LaFountain, is wrongfully keeping her belongings. Brenda is countersuing Kaylee for property damage.
Okay, what I see here is a mess. I don't know what this is. What is this?
That is a burn from a candle on top of a new dresser.
Of a dresser.
Nightstand.
I assume this is you showing me that she left a bowl of food on here.
Yes, ma'am.
But, okay, not nice, but I'm getting to know it. I'm getting to understand it. And this?
Similar.
I mean, was that the same day? Was that March 18th? Was it March 20th? Or did you go?
March 20th, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I finally moved into where I'm staying. Everything is unpacked, and I realized that I'm missing over 40 Victoria's Secret pennies. What is that?
Underwear, Your Honor.
Pennies?
Panties.
And that I don't have 90% of my regular underwear, so I will be over tomorrow to grab those.
Yes.
That was on April 9th.
I have the text messages before that.
I don't care about the text messages before that. You moved out on March 20th, and you're sending her something on April 9th that you finally unpacked and you realize you're missing underwear.
Yes, because they packed up my stuff on March 20th, Your Honor.
Yeah,
and
this was April 9th.
I realized that I was missing my stuff.
On when? On April 9th.
When I finally had the opportunity to go through my things fully.
Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. Okay, the only thing I want to show you, aside from the mess and the food mess, the only picture that I want to show you is this, and I want you to tell me how this happened.
Your Honor, did you get to the closet?
Yeah, I don't care about the closets. I want you to tell me how that happened.
So this is a rabbit hide, Your Honor. It's a real rabbit hide.
Not the rabbit hide. I'm not talking about the rabbit hide. I'm talking about what happened under the rabbit hide.
Applied to it, so the bottom of the hide, that's what it is.
How did that happen?
You have a wax melter for scent that they gave to me.
So you burned something on that, it got too hot, and the bottom of whatever that skin is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was you.
Yes, ma'am.
How much is it going to cost to refinish the top of that? Do you have an estimate for that?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, that's too bad. Your claim is dismissed. You should say thank you to your aunt and uncle, and you left the house pretty messy when you left there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
It is what it is.
She did notice that Kaylee's room was a disastrous mess.
I was given a place to stay by my aunt, and that was nice of her, but she's just not a good person.
She was an entitled brat, and we were not going to play into that.
I'm just ready to move forward.
I wish her the best in her endeavors.
I knew there had to be more to the story there when the plaintiff said, first, right off the bat, that her mother refused to pick her up from boot camp. That sounds unusual to someone who hears it, so I knew there had to be more there, but I felt bad for this aunt and uncle. It seemed like they were, again, no good deed goes unpunished. They took her in, and they had a kerfuffle, as you would say. You know, they didn't get along. She was a little messy.
Not a little messy.
She didn't learn that at boot camp, but no. They didn't mesh well, and maybe it wasn't the relationship the plaintiff was hoping that she would find or uncover, you know, in her new family.
Sounds to me as if she took advantage of them.
Little
The
bit.
condition of that room.
I didn't see all the photos that you saw. I saw portions of them,
The
but
condition of that room was deplorable, really deplorable. And food in there, and old food, dried up food, you know, and this is their home.
I'd have to be very comfortable with my closest aunt and uncle to even eat in the bedroom. So I agree with that point.
I don't even allow Poppy to eat in the bedroom.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they did something that they thought was good, and it turned out to be really bad.
Yeah.
And shouldn't discourage people from wanting to help them. But gratitude is a good word. Yeah. Suing is not.
Case 2203, McAlley versus Wainsworth. All parties, please step forward.
Susan McKaylee is suing her neighbor, Ed Wadsworth, for towing fees and car damage.
You know the defendant through a friend of yours.
I do.
She is a significant other partner.
Right now they're at roommate status, but...
Roommates.
Correct.
Of a friend of yours.
Correct.
Some time ago, you found a dog or rescued a dog and gave it to your friend and the defendant.
They had found the dog and rescued it.
Okay, so they found the dog.
Yes.
What kind of dog?
Kind of a, you can imagine him pulling a sled. I have a picture of him.
I'd like to take a look.
All right.
No.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
You can hand that to her.
Oh, he's beautiful.
Oh, he's wonderful.
He's beautiful. And tell me, you live with somebody as a roommate?
Yeah, she's my girlfriend, actually.
Girlfriend. Okay. And that's the girlfriend who's also your friend?
Yes. Very close.
How long have you been together?
Like 12 years.
What?
I know. But I've been there and done that.
You were afraid to even say that. 12 minutes, 12 hours, 12 days, 12 years. She's going to get me for that one. Okay. Is this the first dog that you had together?
We had a golden retriever that lived to be 16 years old and died this last summer. And then a friend of mine, he was driving to work one day and he saw what eventually became Snowy running around. So he rescued him.
When was this?
6-7 months at least.
6-7 months ago?
Yes, beautiful animal, just wonderful animal.
I see he's your screensaver.
Oh yeah, I know it. In the morning, we'd let him out to do his business because we live in 20.
No, we're not there yet,
sorry.
sir. There was an incident that occurred when the dog got loose and you couldn't find him. How long had you had him before he got loose?
6 to 7 months.
Well, this is her complaint.
Yes.
She said it was January 2023 and you got him in December of 2022. You have a dog of your own.
It's my roommate's dog, and they're the same age.
Okay. And do they play together?
Yes, we use them. We socialize them.
May I
They're-
see the photograph?
Yeah. Same age. And wanted to see how they socialized together, and they did great. They became great buddies.
Oh. They're wonderful together. Anyway, something happened in January, and you called the plaintiff and told her that Snowy had gotten out and he was missing and he didn't come back. Was he out overnight or just part of the... He was out overnight. Did you call her in the morning?
No, it was later in the afternoon. It was getting towards...
Okay, so he had been gone one whole night?
Yes.
And in the morning and afternoon of the next day?
Yes.
You tell me.
Claims her neighbor, Ed Wadsworth, owes for towing fees and vehicle damage.
Okay. Had you been looking for him during that period?
I drove for hours.
Okay. And then you called her and asked for her help?
Yes.
I assume you asked for her help and told her to bring her dog, or this dog, because they were friends?
Yes.
Okay. He called you and said?
Well, I believe it was his girlfriend, my friend, our mutual friend, that asked to...
Just a second. So it wasn't the defendant who asked you. It was your girlfriend. But when you met, was your girlfriend there?
No, she was not.
Just he was there?
Correct.
Okay. And where did you meet?
It was outside his property.
Where was your girlfriend?
She was in the house. She's got some physical disabilities, and it's a struggle to get out in the snow for her.
Okay. So just the two of you, and each of you has a truck?
Correct. I was also with my roommate. She came as well because the dog is actually hers.
Okay.
And I had the truck.
And you have?
I have a Honda Element, an old Honda Element.
Okay. So this is the case very briefly. I don't have to get into any more facts with you. The facts are relatively simple. Your dog got lost. Your girlfriend called her girlfriend and said, could you help find Snowy? Bring your dog with you because, maybe that will be helpful in finding him. He's been out a day and a night, and you volunteered to go.
Yes.
And you went, and your car got stuck in the mud.
Correct.
And was damaged.
Correct.
And you think he's responsible, and you want him to pay for that?
Yes. Well, there's a little bit more to it.
You tell me why he's responsible.
Well, this is a case of no good deeds go unpunished. The thing is that we asked him to come help tow the vehicle out. He said, sure. He also got stuck in that process. And then when I called the tow truck came, pulled him out, and then he just took off. No thank yous, no covering his expenses, and just left.
Oh, covering what expenses?
Covering the expense of the tow, and there was some damage to my...
Forget the damage to your car.
Okay.
He didn't even ask you to go. His girlfriend asked you to go.
Okay, well,
he didn't even ask you, even if he had. Your car got stuck. He wasn't driving your car, was he, when it got stuck?
No.
Okay, you were driving your car when it got stuck.
Correct.
Right. And he also got stuck.
Yes.
Okay, so legally there's no liability for him to pay for the damage to your car if your car was in fact damaged. I can't even think of a scenario where your girlfriend and his girlfriend would have been responsible. Your car got stuck in the snow. You're right, no good deed goes unpunished. It ended up costing you some money. But we're going to talk about the towing. Could I see the towing bill?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's see what. Okay. So, Mr. Wadsworth, this is my question to you, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
I read the complaint, I read the answer. Your truck got stuck in the mud as well.
That's correct. I asked her, I said, how's the ground? And she said it was frozen. But where she wasn't frozen. I pulled like crazy.
And who called the tow truck?
I did.
Were you able to extricate yourself without the tow truck?
No.
No. The tow truck had to tow you out as well as the plaintiff.
That's correct. But
okay, sir. So there's a tow truck bill for $330. Why shouldn't you be responsible for half of that?
Okay, well, the tow truck driver
Don't tell me what the tow truck driver told you, sir.
Anyway.
Not anyway.
So
I want you to tell me, not a so. The tow truck came and towed both of you out of the mud.
That's right.
Now, there's a bill here for $330 that you say you paid in full.
Yes.
And I'm asking you why you shouldn't be responsible for half of that tow truck bill, not her car damage. You're not responsible for her car damage, but you tell me why you're not responsible for half the tow truck bill.
The tow truck couldn't get to her through me because it was such a mess. He had a long cable, and that's eventually how he pulled her out.
How did you get out?
He pulled me a little bit.
Because you couldn't get out yourself.
And then I drove the rest of the way.
You know the 3 most difficult words for a man to say?
Well, besides, I'm sorry.
How about, oh, it was my fault? Or how about, yes, I'm responsible? Or, yeah,
well,
I'm sorry.
We had offered to use our tow service, which wouldn't have cost anything.
Did you call your tow service?
We called our
And
insurance
just a
company.
second. You called your insurance.
But
don't
had already
speak.
Called this other company.
Don't speak. I already explained to you why he's not responsible to the damage to your car. But you owe her $165. That's half the tow. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Oh, you found the dog.
You
found the dog. I understand that you didn't find him in time he was injured, but he's home with you now?
He's home now.
Good.
Yes. I guess it was a fair judgment.
To me, it was the principle of, rewarding favors and being grateful for help.
The tires spun with 4-wheel drive, and then I got stuck.
In the end, the dog was found. He's safe. He's happy, and I'm grateful for that.
The judgment was okay?
I would do it again.
Mother's best advice always was, you can't put your hands on someone else's body. And I think that people really discount. They think they're in a relationship, they're in a marriage, their brother, their sister, whatever. You put your hands on somebody, you're going to pay for that.
Well, then it's an assault. And I don't know the law. I really don't know the law, which is something you're going to look up later, as to whether you're in a public place and you video someone in a public place and you're not doing it for commercial reasons, you're doing it sort of in a protective way. Sure. I don't know that there's any prohibition against that.
I'll look into it, but just from my common sense, I feel when you're in a public place, at least my personal practice is to assume that anyone in a public place can record you.
Yeah. It may not be able to use you for commercial purposes, but this was for protection purposes.
Sure. Yeah.
Case 3050.
School teacher Rachel Haida is suing Virginia Allen for car damage and emotional distress after Virginia's son hit her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Haida versus Allen.
Thank you. Ms. Haida, your case is about damage that was done to your car when Miss Allen's son, which would be this young man over here, hit it. You were in the car. He was on foot at an intersection. The defendant's argument is that you were driving carelessly and you're just lucky that she's not suing you. Okay. Your case has a sort of interesting twist, which I will find out about, because Miss Allen's son, whose name is?
Keegan.
Keegan was playing some, it's hard for me to imagine, some stupid, idiotic teenage game that other people on the internet, on something, TikTok, that it's a sort of a game he was playing. You may be able to see me better if you trim that, so it's not below your eyes. I tell that to my grandchildren, just a little, so I could see, I could see your eyes. And your mother would love it, just a little bit. Yeah, yes. Perfect. See, he's not intimidated, Miss Allen. I see he's not intimidated by anything. Yeah. I can fix that.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, not to worry. Okay, so tell me when this incident occurred.
It actually occurred on April 27th.
What time of day?
Approximately 3:45 p.m.
And you were picking your kids up from school?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 of my own, but I'm a carpool mom that takes turns with 2 other moms. So I had a total of 5 children in the car that day.
Tell me what happened.
So I had just picked them up, and I was in the right-hand lane, and the light was red. So of course I was idle, waiting for the light to turn green. And I'm definitely one of those people who always hesitate at a green light because
don't give me a whole story.
Yes.
Just tell me what happened.
Yeah. So then I started to progress through the green light, and then like instantly, seconds after I progressed, like we were colliding.
Okay, you were colliding with Keegan. Tell me where his body was on your car.
He was running towards like my driver's side window, like my door, and I only saw him as we were colliding, going towards my door, my driver's side door.
Okay. Do you have photographs of where his body and your car collided? I would like to see the damage to the car.
Oh, okay, yeah. I do have that.
While she's looking for that, Miss Allen, you weren't with your son that day.
I was not.
He was coming home from school.
Correct.
And he walks home?
Yes.
I have actually a quick little video of like the whole thing. You click on that one right there. Should I click on it or should I wait for you? Yeah, because I don't want it to play.
Miss Allen, have you seen photographs of the car?
I have not.
Okay. So it was on the side?
Yes.
Is that the rear passenger side?
Rear driver's side.
Rear driver's side, right over the wheel?
Yes. I believe even my collision report gives like the X's on the drawing.
No, I'm just looking at it. Kevin, I would like you to show Miss Allen just so that she sees the same photograph that I'm looking at. And Keegan, you could get up and look at that photograph with your mother so that you've had an opportunity to see it as well. So now you can return that to her. Keegan did not collide with her so that the damage to her car was in the front. He collided on the side of her car. So, I'm not really good at physics, but if he made contact with the car on her side, unless the car was being driven sideways, he hit her. I'm just telling you that, right? I don't know the circumstances around it, but his body hit her car, not her car hitting his body.
No, if I may.
Well, you have no idea because you weren't there.
Correct.
Right. And what happened after he hit the car? That's pretty serious damage, which means that the person or object that hit your car was going pretty fast. Mm-hmm. Because it wouldn't make any difference how fast your car was going. The force of the person hitting your car caused that kind of damage. Got it so far, Keegan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Rachel Haida claims Virginia Allen's son, Keegan, ran into the street and hit her car, causing damage and emotional distress.
Okay, what happened next?
I screamed, pulled over to the side, like within nanoseconds, ran out to go check on him. And luckily, a nurse had ran out kind of simultaneously as me, and we both just kind of like started examining. I let her touch him, but I was there examining him with my eyes and asking him questions. And I kind of let her take control because you could see that she was a nurse. She had a, nurse tools around her neck, and I kind of just let her do her routine. And the police had came in instantly. Our neighborhood is very good about that. Police are very nearby. And as soon as the police arrived, I ran straight to them so I can explain what happened and give information.
And what happened with Keegan?
So from what I can see, the nurse had eventually walked him over to the sidewalk. And while I was giving the police my report, ambulance showed up to take him away.
Did they take the EMS take him away?
That could partly be because I am a teacher, so I'm CPR certified, so I know one of the big things you do is you tell someone, go call 911. So I did turn to a bystander and say, call 911. So the bystander went to call 911. So I think that's one of the reasons why the ambulance came.
Were you called to the hospital, Miss Allen?
I was.
And did you go?
I did.
What time did you get there?
I arrived about 5 o'clock, shortly after 5.
Did you have a conversation with your son?
I did.
First of all, how is he feeling?
He is confused. He didn't remember a lot about what happened. He said last thing he remembered, he was at school, and next thing he was in an ambulance.
That's what he said? He didn't remember anything else?
He did not remember very much.
Does he remember now?
He does.
Oh, good. Well, I could understand him being a little confused maybe then, but I'm glad he sort of remembers now.
Yes.
Okay, it's about 3:25. You're just getting out of school, Keegan.
Yes.
You walking home alone?
No, I was walking with some friends, and when I got to the crosswalk, what I remember, the red hand was still flashing. And my uncle's visiting from New Mexico, so, you know.
I don't want to hear a whole story.
Okay.
I don't want to hear a whole story about why you were anxious to get home.
I said goodbye to my friends, started running, thought I could make it, didn't make it. And when I got...
So you were running across the street?
Yes.
And you were running across the street, according to you, because you saw the light was flashing, that it was going to turn red.
Yes.
And you thought you could make it.
Yes.
Your Honor.
But shh, just a second. Yeah. You thought you could make. Can we please go to that map? Okay, do you see where that map is?
Yes.
Is your car the red car or the blue car?
Blue car.
Okay. And the picture of the man, Keegan, that would be you.
Yes.
So when you got to the sidewalk, according to you, the light that you could see on the other side of these 4 lanes was flashing.
Yes.
And you started running across the street.
Yes.
When you were standing there, you said goodbye to your friends. I want you to think about this very, very carefully. When you looked at the light, was the light flashing?
From what I remember, yes.
What do you mean from what you remember?
I don't remember it very well.
Okay, so you don't know whether the light was flashing or whether your light turned red.
Yes.
So you don't remember. So it's possible that the light was red when you ran across the street.
Yes.
That's better. Now we're getting better. Okay. Now, I've read the complaint and the answer, and I'm so happy that you weren't injured when you did this reckless thing. So if you don't remember, I have to rely on the plaintiff. The plaintiff remembers she had a green light, and you did not. So if you have no firm memory, which you just indicated to me, so far you're in the wrong. You understand that?
Yes. I did do something really stupid.
What?
I did do something really dumb.
Oh, perfect.
I do know that, and I realize that.
Okay. Well, if you did do something wrong, and your parents are responsible for your negligent acts that caused damage to her car, do you acknowledge that you owe her deductible that she had to pay to have her car fixed?
Yes, and we did offer to fix the damages and pay for the damages. It's more the emotional distress that I have an issue with.
Unfortunately, I fixed the car after they had reached out to me. I had already had the car fixed. It had been like 3 to 4 weeks when they contacted me after the accident.
Did you contact them?
I did not.
How did you get her?
Well, because we found out she's suing us. So then we reached out to say, may we fix the damages to your car?
Okay.
Yes.
And I assume, Miss Allen, you sound like a reasonably intelligent woman, that if one of my children were hit by a car and taken to the hospital, I might decide that this driver was reckless, if it was reckless, and sue them. You decided not to do that for a variety of reasons.
Correct.
So I'm glad that you agreed to fix the damage. But there's something in this complaint that I would like to pursue for a second. Keegan,
yes.
After this incident, did you post anything on the internet about the incident?
A few weeks later, I did post a picture of myself in the hospital, yes.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
You have anything that he posted on the internet?
Within 24 hours, I received a video of him recording himself saying, and I quote, "I made that car my bitch."
May I see that?
That is this. And again, this is within 24 hours.
My face looking pretty.
You guys saw the coyote. I'm on the big street.
Feeling pretty good though. Feeling like, yo, I made that car my bitch. I pretty much took that car like a champ.
You aware?
Has accused Virginia Allen's son, Keegan, of running into the street and colliding with her car.
Now, Keegan, I would like you to tell me what that means. Shh, I would like you to tell me what it means. I really don't know.
I guess I probably meant that.
No. I don't want you to guess anything. You know exactly what that means in your head. So don't give me a guess. What does it mean?
I was pretty okay for being hit by a car.
That's what it means. I made that car my bitch means I'm pretty okay? Really? Is that what you meant? Or did you mean you took that car?
Well, you see the minimal damage I have from getting hit by a car.
That's not my question to you, Keegan. I mean, I've not heard that expression, particularly that expression before with regard to a car. But I don't think that means I collided with a car and I only had minimum damage. What does it mean?
That I took it well.
Not you. It says I made that car my bitch.
Yes.
What does that mean? I really did this okay. I turned out okay. I wasn't that injured. That phrase has a particular meaning, and I would really like to know what it means. Not what you would like to say it means, but what you meant when you posted it.
I do not understand the question, Your Honor.
Okay. In my mind, that statement means I took the car. That this was some sort of sport.
No.
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 You were just rushing home to see your uncle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a family friend. I've known him all my life.
You aware of a game sort of on TikTok where kids try to beat a traffic light?
No,
you aware of that? Not?
No.
Never seen it?
No.
Okay. Is this the video of the accident?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look. Just a second. Have you ever seen that, Miss Allen?
I have not.
To be honest, Your Honor, I have never seen it either. I have not been able to get myself to watch it.
Oh, so we're all seeing it for the first time. How interesting. Okay, let's go.
This is a good song. Are you sure you're
There he is.
What?
Oh, God, hit a kid.
Clearly, all the other cars were going, so she wasn't even the first car in line. All the other cars went. Who is this?
That's my father. Colin.
Would you like to move over so you can see it again?
I was able to see it.
Okay. You're a very, very lucky kid.
I know.
They say cat has 9 lives. People aren't that lucky. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think she was very fair. I'm glad she was able to hear from both sides.
I think the judge's decision is fair. I feel like the game is hearsay, but my son clearly was in the wrong.
So I'm a teacher, and hitting a child is one of my worst fears of all time, and it happened, and it's been pretty traumatic for me, to be honest.
It was very frightening. I got lots of new white hair and wrinkles, and it's obviously very distressing.
Severe anxiety driving down that street, consistently fearful of hitting children. Like anywhere I go, just constant fear. To hear that this would be like a good lesson for him, that he would finally learn to make better choice.
I hope he learns, and obviously still needs to.
So I was hoping that this is the thing that's going to turn him over.
Or that your kid has been hit by a car.
Police officers are the ones that informed me that he did it on purpose.
Disappointment.
So they knew from the very beginning.
And my son.
Kind of hoping, and when I saw that video, I was like, oh, or not.
That's one lucky kid and one lucky family. Oh, yeah. What a fool. I'm not sure he gave me an adequate explanation of what he meant when he posted that video. I have my own thoughts about that. But he is one lucky kid because he went into that car with some force.
Yeah. No, I've seen you, leave the curb at a blinking hand, a short distance. But there were cars that were going already. It was very clearly a Frogger type situation trying to weave
What
traffic.
Did you call that?
Frogger.
Frogger.
It's an old video game where you jump through traffic and try not to get hit by cars. So when I saw that video, that's exactly what I thought of.
Yeah, well, I learned something. Frogger.
Her husband's co-worker, Aaron Coker, for the cost of a Labradoodle.
Court, come case 3041, Bloomfield White versus Coker.
Thank you. Welcome. Ms. White, the thrust of your case is that you sold a dog to the defendant and he didn't pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant has a couple of defenses, one of which was that the dog was sick.
Yes, ma'am.
He had lots of vet bills for the dog, and ultimately those vet bills far outweighed what he owed on the dog. And is it your wife?
No, ma'am.
Girlfriend, whoever
Friend,
lived?
yes.
Your girlfriend with whom you live?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. They had enough of the dog, and he says he gave it away.
Well, before I did that, I asked them repeatedly, can they just come get the dog because we were put in the middle of a family triangle.
Let's start out with where you got the dog and what kind of dog it is.
Yes, so I got the dog from my mom on August 21st.
Okay, that's what I read, August 21st of last year.
Yes.
How old was the dog when you got it from your mother?
She was 2 months old at the time.
Okay. Would you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
White.
Miss White, tell me when you bought this dog.
I believe it was June 28th, 29th.
And how much did you pay for the dog?
$800.
How long did you keep the dog? For just 2 months?
A little over a month, yes.
And then what happened to the dog?
I decided to sell the dog to my daughter at that time.
Why?
I was going through some medical issues, and I thought that I would be able to handle it, but I was completely wrong.
And you sold the dog to your daughter?
I did.
How much did you sell the dog for?
$900.
So you made a profit from your daughter?
No, ma'am. I also sold her a cage along with the dog that I paid $125 for.
So you sold her not only the dog, but the cage?
Yes.
For $900?
Yes.
And how much did your daughter pay you for the dog?
Nothing.
Zero, right? That's
Correct.
what I'm getting from here. And then, Miss White, you decided that you couldn't care for the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
What month?
It was October. I found out that I had conceived and the dog was not potty trained. The smell of it was just making me really sick. So I decided to go ahead and sell the dog myself. I posted a post on Facebook on October 17th.
You had the dog August, September, and October.
Correct.
When did you take the dog to the vet?
I did not.
The answer is you did not.
Never.
When did you take the dog to the vet?
Never.
Chip. When did you take the dog to the vet?
I never took the dog to the vet.
So now we have a dog that you acquired in June that had to be at least 6 weeks old, so it had to be born sometime late April or May.
It was born May 31st, 2022.
So you took the dog when it was 4 weeks old, a little early to take a puppy. Okay. And when you took the dog, did you get paperwork that told you what kind of shots the dog had had?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I'd like to take a look at the paper. I see the dog was dewormed on 2 occasions, but I don't see any shots.
Okay, so this is what she wrote down here. So
I don't care what she wrote down there. You have a dog. The dog is a puppy. It needs shots. It needs shots before it can go around other dogs. You mean you had no clue as to this, and neither did you, Miss White? That the dog needed shots?
No, actually, when me and him made the agreement for him to come and purchase the dog, we had a phone call.
I don't care about a phone call. I'm talking about, you don't understand what I'm saying to you, madam. What I'm saying to you, your mother had a dog that was born sometime in May.
Mm-hmm.
She had the dog June, July. Between the two of you, August, right? You know that a dog, like a baby, has to get injections, shots for rabies, for distemper. Shots to make it healthy so that it's around other dogs, it won't get sick. Neither you nor your mother took the dog to get put it down unless you have shots to show me. I'm not interested in anything other than your neglect of this dog for 6 months. That's all I'm interested in. Right now, that's what I'm interested in. Your neglect of this puppy for 6 months.
The dog was due for shots in September when her insurance became active.
Let me explain something to you. The dog wasn't due when her insurance became active. The dog was due when it's a puppy. It gets puppy shots. The fact that you didn't want to give the dog shots until it got insurance is not the dog's problem.
Exactly.
That's your problem. The puppy needed puppy shots. Within 6 months, you had the dog for 6 months between the two of you and didn't take care of it. And I don't understand that. What?
So I definitely do apologize. It was my first time having a puppy, and I didn't know that it needed a shot.
You note in the chart that the dog was dewormed. That's all that you gave me.
I didn't know what type of shots the dog needed, and
Then you
that's
look
my ignorance.
Just a second. Then you look on the internet. You ask the breeder from whom you bought it. You ask people. You find out. You don't do nothing. It's a live animal. You're supposed to take care of it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you agree. Because his defense is that when he got the dog got sick. Miss White, let me understand your complaint. You charged him $1,600 for a dog you didn't pay for, that you still owed the full price on. Am I reading this wrong?
No, you're not.
Don't help me. I don't need your help.
Yes, ma'am.
I need her help.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor. My agreement was that I was supposed to pay my mom the money out of the sale of the dog.
Just a second.
Was going
you
to
had
get,
the dog August, September, and October. You paid your mother nothing.
I got the dog August 21st. My mother and I made the agreement that I would not immediately pay her for the dog as we had just both moved to the area and I didn't have it. So she knew that I did not have
I
the
don't
money
care what
to
she
pay for
knew.
the dog.
You didn't buy the dog from your mother to resell it, I assume.
No, originally I was going to keep the dog, but I decided not to keep the dog. But either way, our agreement was still for me to pay her.
I don't care. You sold him the dog for $1,600 and you didn't pay for it. Did you give...
Claims her husband's co-worker, Aaron Coker, owes for the cost of a Labradoodle. Aaron says Kiara sold him a sick dog.
Okay, in addition to not paying for it, which, that's between you and your mother, has something to do with the legality of your lawsuit because you can't sell something that you don't own and you don't own it until you pay for it, right? My real problem with the two of you is you don't appear to be people without any common sense or brains. How do you not know that a puppy needs puppy shots before it can be involved with other dogs, walk around, be near other dogs, that it needs shots just like a baby does?
Your Honor, I was aware of the fact that the dog was supposed to go for shots in September.
No, it wasn't supposed to go in September,
I got
madam.
the dog August 21st from my mom. My mom told me the following month that the dog was going to need shots. And that was only like a week or so from the August when I got the dog.
So where did you get this idea that this puppy that you had didn't need shots before September? Your daughter a moment ago said September was the date because that's when your insurance kicked in.
September 1st, yes. I got the idea from Tina, the person that I actually purchased the dog from. She told me that the dog would be due for his first shots the last week of August. But the problem is that he told us the dog had rabies. And I researched that.
That it had
and
rabies
there is
and
no...
worms.
Sure.
Who told you the dog had rabies? Oh, I'm not talking about him.
That's why he didn't want to pay, because he said the dog had rabies.
Let me explain something to you. I don't know whether the dog had rabies or not. I know that you and your daughter were negligent. And your daughter has no claim because she didn't pay for the animal. You did. You're not the plaintiff. You paid $800. You sold it to your daughter for $900, and you sold it to him without shots for $1,600, of which he paid you $5.
No, ma'am. We had an agreement to pay the $5, but I wasn't giving up nothing.
Just a second. So you paid nothing?
Nothing. No, ma'am. The first payment wasn't due until I got paperwork and everything on the dog.
Okay. So you got the dog in October
Yes, ma'am.
17th.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the vet bills after October 17th.
I have that, and I got her rabies shot certificate and things like that.
This doesn't show me anything.
Yes, ma'am.
This shows me a surgery consult. I don't know.
No, he wanted to do surgery, and yes, ma'am.
This isn't a vet bill. I've been doing this for 28 years. So if you're not going to be able to show me what I want, don't waste my time with the zh on the machine.
Okay.
If you don't have it, you don't have it.
I don't have it on me, right?
Then just say I don't have it.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why don't you have the vet bill? We're not talking about forever ago, sir. All you have to do is say to the vet, I'm going to court, I need a copy of my bill.
That's my...
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I had it.
Now I want you to tell me, because I'm not crazy about either one of you.
Uh-oh.
You, because you were both negligent with regard to this puppy. You had no right to get a puppy if the two of you weren't emotionally or financially able to take care of it. You should certainly understand that when you get a puppy, when you buy a puppy, did you pay for it, by the way?
I did.
Okay. And if you paid $800 for a puppy, you ask certain questions. I've had dogs in my life for 70 years. Every time I purchase a dog, the person from whom I purchase it gives me a piece of paper that says when the dog was born, who the parent.
It was a lot for me being pregnant. It would cause me to be sick and nauseous all the time. He called me and he was like, why do you want to get rid of the dog?
Couldn't stand the smell. Didn't you think that the dog was sick?
No, she wasn't potty trained. She was still a puppy. The smell of it.
I'm not so sure, sir.
Well, I didn't charge anybody. I asked them numerous of times. They wouldn't come and get the dog. It was just getting out of hand.
Well, it was getting out of hand because, sir, you hadn't paid them any money. Wouldn't be supposed to make your first payment.
Like November 10th or 11th.
Okay. And you had the dog until December.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you make your first payment?
Because the dog was sick and I've been asking them to come get the dog.
First of all, you can't tell them to come and get the dog because you bought it. You bought it without a contract that said it had a health guarantee, a health warranty, whatever. That doesn't mean she's getting a penny because she didn't pay for the dog.
Okay.
You had an arrangement with her.
Yes, ma'am.
To pay her in November. You didn't do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, stand up a second. Did your daughter agree to pay you back after she got paid from him?
She did.
You see, my problem is I could dismiss your case and then your mother would have to come back because she's the actual owner of the dog because you didn't pay for the dog. And there is no way that you're getting twice as much as what you paid for the dog. But I don't think, Mr. Coker, that you're being honest. You certainly didn't bring me the proof. You certainly didn't bring me evidence that was either in your possession or capable of being in your possession. And I don't think that these people in Beaufort who spoke to her were lying to her when they said they don't have you in their system with a dog whose name is Lucky. Then you have to pay something for this dog that you just gave away, because I'm not so sure that you just gave it away. The only sadness for me in this entire case is that this poor puppy had, by the time it was 6 months old, 4 different owners, all of whom were neglectful. You, and I don't know about the person that you ultimately gave the dog to. I don't know whether that person is going to be using or abusing her because, according to you, he got her for free. And even those shelters that really have rescue animals, they charge something because they want people to have a certain financial investment in taking care of a pet before they give you a pet. So that you gave what was an expensive dog to this person for free is something that I don't buy, like I don't buy the vet bill. You get $100 for the dog. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. That's it. Next time, take better care of animals.
This court is adjourned.
I mean, it was a fair judgment. I wish I had brought the right document with me, and I didn't, so.
He lied about having the bills, and he gets to get away with not paying it.
It was a family feud between the mother and the daughter, and now the mother is standing with the daughter now, so.
She was completely healthy, and he knows that.
She was sick, she was small.
He just didn't want to pay that much for a dog.
I'm happy she found a great home.
That was one of the few cases in my career where I really had a tough time making a judgment.
Yeah.
Sarah.
And I don't necessarily disagree with your judgment in the end. I know it was meant to be sort of a wrist slap to the defendant, of course, for being, a little untruthful in multiple parts of his story. But technically, the plaintiff was not the right plaintiff.
You really can't at the last minute just substitute one plaintiff for another. They were just foolish and neglectful of this puppy and got it for all the wrong reasons. His story about this $1,400 vet bill was untruthful. And I knew it was untruthful because if you print up that piece of paper, the
vet logo would be right all over that.
The vet logo was on top, and it doesn't say range of treatment, proposed bill.
It looks that way when a defendant prepares their own statement
and makes a copy of it.
Yeah.
Right. Did she file an eviction notice against you?
Yes, ma'am. She was fussing, yelling, and cussing and threatening to beat me up.
She still has property there.
Oh, yes.
No, ma'am.
She left a dog.
You took a dog with you?
Yes.
She had 2 dogs. Those dogs had puppies, and she ran a little farm out of my house.
This is Judy Justice. Keila Bell is suing her former landlord, Janita Akins, for filing false evictions, slander, and harassment.
All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3076, Bell versus Akins.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Bell, Miss Akins was your landlord for a period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
Were there 2 separate houses? She lived in one, you lived in the other?
Yes, ma'am.
But you were next door neighbors?
Right next door.
So you have a rental home?
Yes, ma'am.
How large a home is it?
It's a 2-bedroom.
Who lived there with you?
Me, my daughter, and my 21-year-old son.
You have dogs.
I have 2.
When did you first lease the house from Miss Akins?
I leased from Miss Akins September 29th of 2022.
And what was the rent you were paying?
$87.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
So that means you were receiving Section 8 housing, they were paying the rest?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much rent were you receiving?
A total of $750.
What does your son do?
My son works at a Steak and Shake restaurant in our hometown.
And your daughter?
She works also.
At what?
Clothing store.
And you?
Steak and Shake also.
So you have 3 full-time employed people living in your house?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you qualify for Section 8 housing?
Well,